everyone. So today is going to be my June wrap-up video and then quickly go through my July TBR. The Olympics Readathon is over and it was so much fun. I was on Team Apollo, and even though we didn't win, we had so much fun, and I loved meeting everyone in our group chat and getting to know Joanna more. Team Poseidon kicked major butt in the last week, and I'm really proud of them. So go Abby and Greg and everyone at Team Poseidon. You guys did great. It's awesome, and thank you for taking down Team Zeus. Anyway, I read 8 books last month, which for me is a record for 1 month. I'm not a fast reader. I know there are people out there who can do like 30 books in a month. Go you. That's amazing. I cannot do that. I don't have the attention span for that, and I just don't have the time. So I enjoyed everything that I read. Nothing was below like a 3 out of 5 for me. But the book with the lowest score this month was called Friends with Benedicts, which is actually the first romance book that I've read on my channel. And I don't read a lot of romance. I kind of picked it up on a joke. It was a cute read. It was really fast-paced, and what I liked about it was that the narrator's voice was a millennial voice. So listening to her speak and listening to her in her monologue was like listening to me or one of my friends. And so that was fun, and there were Star Wars references and stuff and some really odd analogies. And it was just really fun. So I'm going to actually do a review for that book just because it was out of my comfort zone. And I will say, I was disappointed because there was no mention of Benedicts anywhere in the book. I have no idea where the title for the book came from. So if you're looking for a fun, cute romance read, it's actually pretty decent. So I gave that one a 3. Next would be actually Iron Gold. I was supposed to read this last month, and I ended up binge reading it in the first week of June so that I could be part of the Iron Gold live show that was over on Alan's channel. If you've read this and haven't watched that, you should go check it out. We had a great time talking about this book. I think personally it's the weakest in all of the Red Rising books, but I still really enjoyed myself. It was different because there's multiple point of views in it, and I wasn't a fan of all of them. But all in all, I still really enjoyed it. Just compared to all the other ones and how I rated those books, I had to give this one a 3 out of 5. After that came the buddy read for Shelf-Space, which was Dark Matter. And this book had been on my TBR for a long time. I would always look at it at the store and pick it up and then put it back on the bookshelf and never really pull the trigger. I'm really glad that I was kind of pushed to read it this month. I really enjoyed it for what it was. I gave it a 3.75 out of 5, and I think just because it's a bit more shallow than a lot of the other books I've been reading. There's a fun science in here, and as someone who likes physics and has studied science, like I really appreciate all like the quantum mechanics and the thought experiments that were going on in this book. I just felt like the characters lacked depth. And for a story like this, it's just a fun, fast romp of a read. And I don't really think there was time to make those connections with the characters. But I still really enjoyed it. If you're into multiverse theory, if you're interested in that and just want something fun and fast to read, Dark Matter was really fun. All right, next is going to be the 5th book in the Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire, and that is called Come Tumbling Down. And this one follows up the actual story that's continuing through the books, because every other book is a continuing storyline interspersed with one-off books. And so Come Tumbling Down continues the story of Jack and Jill Wolcott and the land that they go to called the Moors, and it really kind of wraps up their storyline, and I really enjoyed this entry. I really, really did. Jack and Jill are probably 2 of my favorite characters, and there's a spin on it. So if you haven't read these books, Jack and Jill are Jacqueline and Jillian, and they're twins. And there's a lot of gender fluidity and concepts about like body dysmorphia and what it's like to be trans and to feel comfortable in your body. And Shauna McGuire explores this in multiple ways. And I think that's one of the things I really loved in this book. They're all short, they're all novellas, they go by really quickly, but you just get so much story in this one that I really enjoyed it. And so I gave this book a 4 out of 5. And if you picked up the Wayward Children series, maybe you only started with Every Heart a Doorway, I really would suggest you continue on because they just get better from there. After that, I did Vinland Saga, which is my kind of reintroduction to manga. I have not read manga since high school. I read Fullmetal Alchemist. I read some One Piece when I was younger, and I read a manga called Hanakimi, which I don't know if anyone knows about. It got turned into a K-drama called To the Beautiful You, and I was obsessed with it when I was in high school. I still have every issue. I should probably reread it at some point. But anyway, I decided to pick up the first couple volumes of Vinland Saga. I have the third one, haven't read it yet, so I'm not going to do a full review until I do that. But these are so much fun, guys. They're hefty, which I like. I don't like the small, short volumes of manga. They feel kind of, I don't know. I like having a bigger book. But the story is really good, and I'm glad that I reintroduced myself to manga using a story that's not like your typical like Japanese style manga. This is more of a Viking tale. Well, it is a Viking tale. And so it just, I don't know, it was really cool because the artistry in here combines the traditional anime style with these beautiful like pastoral landscapes and stuff in the background, and I just really, really loved them. And as you can see, I even have tabs, and there were some poignant moments in these stories already. The first book, it centers around a boy who's, when you first meet him, he's 15, and then you get flashbacks from when he was a child about how he ended up with this Viking mercenary group. And his father was a Viking, and he was a very famous like warrior, and he decided that he wanted to leave that life, and so he took his wife and they made a homestead on Iceland, and he kind of stepped back. And then one day the Viking lords come and they want him to come and work for them again, and he doesn't want to. And so that's kind of where our story branches off of, and it was just so cool. I found out about these from Elliot Brooks, so thank you, Elliot, and I loved them. If you want something that kind of is a little different in the manga category, I would definitely check these out. They're beautiful and fun, and I loved them. Okay, and I gave both of those 4 out of 5. So, my favorite books that I read this month, and if you see me on Discord, you know I've talked about them so much. Alan is 100% right. Thank you for suggesting these. I read the second and third books of the Long Price Quartet, and they're phenomenal. Betrayal in Winter, I gave a 5 out of 5, and in Autumn War, I gave a 6 out of 5 because it was that good. Our 2 new characters that we meet, one in Betrayal in Winter and one in Autumn War, are some of my favorite characters that I've ever read, some of the best developed characters that I've read, and I love them. I'm not going to wax poetic about these books in this video because if you watched my reviews for Shadow and Summer and Betrayal in Winter, you will already hear that. I'll link them below. And they're just so good, and I'm excited for all of the new people who are reading these books now. I've been watching you guys comment on the Discords, and I'm really excited for you to get further in the story. So good. Cannot say that enough. All right, now moving on to my July TBR. Since we're a couple of days into July, I've already started a couple books, and actually I already finished one, but it was cheating a little bit because I read most of it in May, and I couldn't roll it over into June for the readathon because I didn't have 200 pages left. So I just put it on hold, and that was the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, and that is a like dark academia book that's self-pubbed, and I actually really enjoyed it. I just finished it yesterday, and so I'll be doing a review for that later, but it was really fun. I had not read dark academia in a long time, and so I really enjoyed that one. And I'm also about halfway through Death Masks, which is the 5th book in the Dresden Files series, and I bit the bullet and I started doing it on audiobook, and I really am enjoying it. I think books that are more serious fantasy and more like traditional writing style are hard for me to do on audiobook. I tried listening to The Black Coast on audiobook, and I really had a hard time remembering things and just feeling connected to the characters. But with the Dresden Files, I think because I already know Harry Dresden, and because it's a first-person, really fast-paced, kind of talkative book, I'm able to follow it along a lot easier. And so about halfway through that one, which is really fun. The next thing is going to be books that I have to read in the month of July. I mentioned The Black Coast. I'm a couple hundred pages into it, and I need to finish it because there's a live show happening next weekend that I want to watch. And this was the buddy read on Greg's channel last month. And I think it's a new release. I think it just came out in 2021. And the next book comes out in July. So if you like dragons and evolution, I would definitely check this out because there's a really, really cool thing that Mike Brooks does with the different species of dragons in this book, and I super enjoyed it. Next book is the fourth book in the Long Price Quartet, and I have started this. I'm trying to pace myself because I need to read these other things, but man, I'm enjoying this book. You really do need to go straight from the third one into the fourth one. There are so many questions that I need answered and drama, and it's so good. So I'm excited to finish this out. I think I'm going to be a little sad, and I might have a book hangover when I'm done with it. So I hope it doesn't bum me out for the rest of the month. But guys, this book is so good. Anyway, I'm also going to be reading the second book in the Dragonlance Chronicles with my Crin crew. We are having our first live show for Dragon's Bottom Twilight next weekend. That's Saturday the 10th at 1 p.m. on She Was Only Evie's channel. There are going to be a ton of us on there. It's going to be so much fun. And while the book didn't necessarily stand up to everything I remembered from when I was really young, I still enjoyed it. It was nostalgic. It's pretty much like reading a D&D campaign, so it's fun. And I'm looking forward to reading the second one, Dragons of Winter Night, just to see how much more I remember and if I continue to enjoy it moving on. Next are going to be books that I hope to get to this month. The first one's going to be Orconomics by Zachary Pike, and this is the Discord read-along for Gregory LaPerche's channel for July. This one seems really fun. It is economics and fantasy, only it's more satire. I know that a bunch of people on Alan's Discord were reading The Folding Knife by KJ Parker, and that is economics and fantasy, but in a more like serious, gritty way. This is supposed to be funny, and so I'm looking forward to reading this. I've seen it a bunch of times, but never really felt the need to pick it up, and so I'm glad that I have a reason now. And this book is so big, and it's like floppy. I love big floppy books. I'm hoping to finish The Organ Thieves this month. I have a plan. I'm breaking it down and reading X amount each week because, guys, this book is really good, but it's also very sad. It's upsetting, and I can only read so much at a time just because it's heartbreaking, and it's really making me look at the medical field in a different way, which is hard for me as someone who is going into medicine. But you know what? It's not as hard as the things that the people who lived through this went through. And so I'm glad that I am learning about the truth about what happened and how medical school education was horrible and how it's changed over the years, and how knowing this stuff, like, I can make sure that, you know, stuff like this doesn't happen again. So not like I'm some medical superpower or anything, but just I think people being aware of this kind of stuff is important. So if you're interested in medicine, if you're interested in medical ethics across the years in the United States and learning about our history and all of that, I definitely check out this book, but just be aware that it's hard to read. So the last book that I'm hoping to finish this month, if I have time in my apparent new mood reading phase that I'm in, is The Hot King. I'm like a third of the way into this book, and with the readathon and trying to read fast and pushing myself, I just could not focus to sit on this book. If you've seen my reviews, you know how much I love the Sunland books. I love this author. I think I'm just having a mood read hard time with this, and so I really want to finish it. I'm hoping that I can this month. the last ones that I am hoping to get through, I'm supposed to be doing a buddy read of Dreams of the Dying with some people, and so I'm hoping to be able to get to that. If I don't, then I have to accept that I can't do all of the buddy reads all the time that I sign up for, and maybe I will learn my lesson and not sign up for as many in the future. Other than that, I'm really hoping to make it through the Mistborn novels this month. The first three, Era 1 is all a reread for me. I haven't read them in a couple of years though, and I really want to get through them fast so that I can start Alloy of Law. Cosmere Unbounded is doing their Mistborn Era 2 read-along starting this month, and so I really want to read that along with all of them because I've never done Era 2 before, and I want to read Secret History and all the stuff in Arcanum Unbound, so I really need to finish this because it's the last like chunk of the Cosmere that I haven't read yet. And especially since Sanderson is, like over 60% done with Wax and Wayne 4, like I need to get going. So that is all of the stuff that I am hoping to read this month. It's a lot, but I am actually moving. So next week, or this coming Wednesday, I will be moving to my new apartment and getting everything set up, which I'm really excited about. A little stressed, but mostly excited. Next time you see a set of videos that I've recorded, I will have my bookshelves behind me and I'll be able to do a bookshelf tour. I'm so excited to be able to share with you guys all the books that I have because everything's been packed away for so long. And I'm just ready to be in my own space. And so I think that I'll have more quiet time and a little bit less responsibility for the next month because it'll just be me and my dogs and I'll be able to decompress. So I'll have more time to read. So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, comment, let me know if you've read anything that I'm going to be reading this month or if you have any thoughts on the stuff that I read last month. I would love to hear from you, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.